Again, welcome to today's webinar. I'm going to turn it over now to Michael Mullins, who is with Industry Expansion Solutions, to begin today's presentation. Michael?
Thanks, Susan. Good morning. My name is Michael Mullins. I'm the Director of Defense Industry Initiatives at Industry Expansion Solutions, which is the extension arm of the College of Engineering here at NC State University. And I'm joined by a colleague and friend, Larissa Suber, and I'd like to allow her to introduce herself.
Hi, good morning. My name is Dr. Larissa Suber. I am Principal Consultant of Bonsai Consulting Group, former colleague of Michael Mullins, working as an evaluator of workforce programs, looking at training programs specifically in technical industries, but also a certified HR professional. So I've worked with employers as well around leadership development, organizational development, and I have an affinity towards this topic of talent and how we can attract and recruit talent, specifically veterans as well. And so I'm excited to be here. Thank you for the invite, Michael, and looking forward to having a great discussion with you all today.
Thanks, Larissa. Let me just say right at the beginning, first of all, appreciate everybody taking the time out of their schedule to join us today. This is a topic that comes up frequently as we interact with small manufacturers across the state. Their desire to hire veterans, but the challenge always seems to be exactly how you go about doing that. So, really, hopefully today we're going to be able to provide some information, especially to the manufacturers that are here, that will facilitate them being able to identify, recruit, and very importantly, retain veterans. I know that a number of veteran transition groups, I noticed Veteran Bridge Home, NC for Me, and a variety of others registered to attend. If any of the veteran transition groups are attending right now, could you please put your contact information in the chat to include your website? And if you are here, I would really appreciate it as we have a discussion today that you please speak up and provide your expertise, which is so valuable to these companies, and for them to be able to help understand how to effectively hire veterans. So with that said, let's just go to the next one, and I'll turn this over to Larissa.
Yeah, so we really want to find out more about you all in terms of hiring veterans. Just connecting to this poll question. So I have recruited and hired veterans. So let us know in the chat, yes, no, or not attempted. We really like to learn more about kind of where you are in that process of beginning to connect with veterans, the veteran talent pool. So we have a few yeses. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. We hope that after this webinar, you'll have some great tips and tools and strategies to help you as you can continue to think about recruiting veterans. So I'll pass it back to you, Michael, to share more about the agenda.
Okay, just run through the agenda. We're going to talk about the military population in North Carolina and some of the obvious and maybe not so obvious benefits of hiring veterans. And I think it's important to understand some of the impediments that exist on the military side and also on the company side of bringing these two organizations and individuals together. Some of the veteran transition programs, and hopefully we have a few folks today that can talk in some detail during the discussion about the organizations that they represent. And something that's really challenging, I find, for a lot of companies is understanding this military occupational specialty, or what is referred to in the military as MOS, which is essentially what their job is. But it's something that I think is really important to understand as a company, and we'll talk more about that as we go through the slides. So, all right, military population. There's a lot of military personnel in North Carolina, as you know. We're the fourth largest active duty footprint in the nation after California, Texas, and Virginia. We're normally pretty close to Virginia. Sometimes we're third, but we have the largest military installation in the United States, Fort Bragg, and the largest expeditionary base in the world called Camp Lejeune. 50–60% of all special operations forces are in the entire Department of Defense are in North Carolina. We get a lot of transitions out of the military in North Carolina on an annual basis, 16, 17, 18,000. It varies somewhat, but these are all individuals that a lot of companies in North Carolina would love to hire, and we certainly want to keep them in North Carolina. And there are a lot of attributes that these veterans bring to the job market. A lot of hard skills, their training, and whether it's logistics, maintenance, medical, aviation, just go down the list. But really important, I have found with a lot of manufacturers across the state, what they appreciate from veterans is the soft skills, and we'll talk more about that as we go through. The employer desire is real, and the DoD commitment, especially with programs like SkillBridge, some of you may be familiar with, is clearly, I think, made it clear that the Department of Defense is committed as well to helping veterans transition more effectively into the civilian job market. And then we have a lot of programs here in North Carolina, and hopefully you can hear from a couple of those organizations today. We've got about 16 million veterans in the United States. Which is a little over, 6%, 6.5% of the entire U.S. population. Active duty is very, very small. It's less than 1% of the population. So we don't have a large population of veterans across this country like we did in previous times, like in Korea or Vietnam, with a volunteer force. Most veterans now have some combat experience, roughly 3/4 of them, and we have about 620,000 veterans in North Carolina. It's an older group, veterans, when you compare them to non-veterans in the country and in the state. Just making you aware of that. Some of the benefits right off the bat is, again, this extensive list of training that the military personnel go through, whether they're operating on an aircraft carrier or an F-35 aircraft or whatever the case may be, and especially the high technology of the military these days, and the youth of the military, and be able to really work with cutting edge technology. It can really benefit a lot of companies. But you can choose pretty much any occupation, and I don't want an oversight to take place when it comes to the combat arms. A lot of times we think, well, infantry is not a real fungible MOS. I would strongly disagree with that. I think the leadership skills, management skills that an infantry non-commissioned officer brings to the table, along with artillery and armor and other places, is enormous, and it would is someone you should really pay attention to. Veterans work well independently, especially more senior NCOs and officers. Micromanagement is not a way to retain them in your company. And the last thing I'll mention, and not a reason to hire a veteran necessarily, but just an additional benefit, is there maybe an IRS tax credit for your company. So that's something to look at. 61% of veterans have some college education. And this is an interesting poll, and I just looked at this yesterday to get an updated number. 68% of employers report that veterans perform better or much better than their civilian peers. Not a hit on anybody, but again, it's these skills as you look down the last bullet, the work ethic, they come to work on time, the teamwork, communication capabilities, problem solving, mission oriented. And this last bullet, I think, is really relevant to manufacturers, and then understanding the importance of health and safety. To a manufacturer, OSHA is something you think about, but in the military, a risk assessment's done for pretty much everything and anything you do. Going on a long weekend, risk assessments involved, and there are different levels of risk, and there are different approval levels. So leaders in the military are constantly being required to analyze pretty much any event, training event, like I said, a long weekend, and doing risk analysis, and then determining whether or not to actually do the event based on the risk or hazards involved. So something to also think about. There are some impediments on the military or the veteran side of the house. There's a lot. Let's say the 16,000 number we used previously with North Carolina. A number of these individuals already have some jobs waiting for them, back in Arkansas or Texas or whatever it may be. They're going to go to college. They're going to take advantage of the GI Bill, or maybe they're going to start their own business as an entrepreneur. Some of them are going to work for the federal government, or maybe they'll work for North Carolina state government. They already have plans. Other ones are just maybe a little looser. They just want some time. They've had a lot of deployments, and they are ready to take a break, and they're not really interested in working at all, possibly for a while. And then we got 49 other states that are trying to get these veterans as well. A lot of these veteran transition organizations, and I think of Heroes Make America for one, have a spreadsheet that you could access anywhere in the United States, of course, and be able to identify these individuals that maybe have the skill sets that you want, and they've been preparing to go into manufacturing jobs for months, and this is what they want to do post their post-military experience. So a lot of competition. And I'll just mention this real quickly. I was at HAECO and Honda Jet and some other aerospace companies about 2 or 3 weeks ago in Greensboro, and with about 50 active duty and veterans. And all of these companies were just pretty much stepping over each other to hire these individuals. And one of them said something I thought was very interesting. And he said that, you know what, you don't have to spell aerospace to work here. We'll train you. What we're looking for are these leadership skills and all of these soft skills that I mentioned earlier that the military brings to the job and to the organization. So I thought that was pretty powerful coming from somebody like a HACO or Honda Jet, that they would have programs in place. What they're looking for are all the characteristics that we're so familiar with that veterans and military personnel bring to the table. Okay, I'm going to pick the speed up of this a little bit. This goes back to the combat arms heavy, to what I said earlier about the infantry. And then a lot of times we don't understand the MOS and that direct connection. We'll talk more about that. I think that that fourth bullet is important to mention, the unrealistic job expectations sometimes on the veteran side. You know, if you're a first sergeant or a battalion commander, you've had enormous responsibility, for example, and you have an enormous amount of management experience, leadership experience, and you know, the expectation may be on your part that kind of the same level of salary and position will be waiting for you in the civilian sector, and that's certainly not true. And as a retired Army officer out of Fort Bragg, I certainly expected that, and I realized very quickly you've got to kind of prove yourself again and work your way up a little bit. That's not saying you're going to take some position totally maybe beneath your capabilities, but you know, you don't expect as a battalion commander to walk in as the chief executive officer of a company, for example. You know, you have to kind of prove yourself again and show your skills one more time. You know, on the company side, on the civilian side, I keep harping about the MOS skills, the lack of understanding, and we're going to talk more about that in a moment, but really lacking appreciation for these soft skills we keep talking about as well. A lot of times companies really misunderstand disabilities of veterans, whether it's PTSD or traumatic brain injury or other physical impacts. This does not mean they cannot be an effective worker for your company, especially depending upon the type of job. Still have the same skill sets that anyone else has. The other thing I think is real important is when you're recruiting veterans, you need to have maybe a program in place to do it and have veterans that are in your company involved in that, and also maybe involved in the hiring process as well. But if it's clear that you've got a program in place in your company to actually reach out and hire veterans, I think you've got an edge over the competition. I really do. You know, these individuals have been a part of a team. It's not a job in the military. It's a life. It's 24/7. They're used to a culture of, you know, having a mission and we're all working together. And if all you're looking for is somebody just to get a veteran and stick them in a job, you might want to look for somebody else. Because I think there's that teamwork aspect is still something that's very important to them, and having a mission that we're all working towards. The last thing, and this regarding compensation on the side of the military and on the side of the company, I think it can be a real misunderstanding, because individuals in the military get paid their pay, they may get a housing allowance, a subsistence allowance. And this example here of a E4, which is lower enlisted, maybe 19, 20 years old, high school graduate with a wife and a child, this is probably total with everything they're making around 48 or 50,000. If I said that was a sergeant first class, a senior NCO with a housing allowance in Fayetteville, and their subsistence, et cetera, now we're talking around $100,000 a year. So a lot of times, you know, and they look at that as all going into one account. And on the corporate side, that's obviously not doable. So it's something to become familiar with on your side as a company, how military compensation works. And on the military side, they need to understand that you know, there's no such thing as a housing allowance when you're working at Honda Jet, probably. So, and I'm going to turn this back over to Larissa, talk a little bit about your experience with veteran recruitment.
Hi again. Thanks, Michael. So we really want to find out more about your experience hiring veterans. And so I'd like to kind of flip this a little bit and first understand more about some of your challenges. Less than 20% of you mentioned that you're currently hiring or have had success in hiring, recruiting and hiring veterans. But what do you find, what do you feel are some of the biggest challenges? If you just want to put those in the chat, we can talk a little bit about that. And then we'll talk more about like some of the recruiting programs, and then some of you that are on the call that are specialists that I see that have put your information in the chat, SkillsBridge and others. Thank you for responding. Is there any specific challenges that you all see after learning more about these benefits? You can just put those in the chat if there's anything specific that comes to mind. I'm not sure if any of the challenges that Michael mentioned have been an issue for you in terms of understanding how to translate their skill sets. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to do some of those things as well, so that you're actually being able to connect with the veteran. But just wanted to find out if there are anything specific that comes to mind. If nothing, we can move on. Okay. I'm not seeing anything come through. Of those of you who graciously said that, yes, you've had success, is there anything that you all might want to share in terms of your experiences on how that was successful? Okay, needing more information about going out to veteran, need more information going out to veteran programs. Okay, Kimberly, can you say, would you like to come off mute and say a little bit more about that? Oh, needing. Okay, thank you. Okay. Needing more info for, no,
Okay.
needing, go ahead.
I was going to say, Kimberly, you should be off mute now. If you want to come off mute, you can.
Yes, I was wondering, how can I get more information to put our information out to veterans programs to get more veterans interested in coming to work for an electronics manufacturer?
Okay, just needing more information about how to outreach to veterans specifically. Okay,
Yes.
that's great. Thank you. Thank you for that. So yes, we have some great resources on that for you. So we'll be sharing that on the call. But are there any of our subject matter experts that want to respond to that? Michael, I can't tell who's on here. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, if we have any individuals from any of the veteran transition groups, I see that the Overwatch program out of Norfolk, Virginia, and I think NC for me is on here. And I just would encourage any you or anyone else, if you'd like to come off mute and just kind of share some of your thoughts on this topic. Okay.
In these programs, there's a couple in the chat. Thank you, Pam, that she's put in there, Hire Heroes for America and others that we can link to. And if we go to the next slide, we have some more resources for you as well that we think would be helpful. So if you scan this QR code.
Larissa, may I
Yes.
May I interrupt? It looks like Emily would like to come off of mute, so I've unmuted her. Emily, if you'd like to ask your question.
Hey, I just wanted to respond to the question around electronics manufacturing that was thrown out, because I know Michael was asking for some feedback. And it looks like you guys are probably going to get into some of this in a minute, but would be happy to, connect and brainstorm about your specific situation, because I think sometimes it's hard to give a very general answer when everybody's kind of position in the market and company brand and things are different. But we're finding that veterans are getting really excited about jobs that they can see a clear career path in. Michael kind of touched on this before, that there's opportunities for growth and training, and where you can recognize the value that they bring to the table and not necessarily have to see every single box checked that maybe you're typically used to, but recognizing that they're going to bring a lot to the table that your typical candidate may not have. And then there may be some gaps that you're going to have to fill in with training, and the companies that are willing to do that seem to be having a lot of success. And so, offering some of those training programs, like being willing to extend, kind of bridge over any gaps and really see and recognize and make room for their leadership. And then also clearly demonstrate the growth and career path opportunities, I think are all things you can really do to help really convey your opportunities effectively to military members. Now, like how to find them and how to get that message in front of them is probably a broader, longer conversation, but hopefully that's helpful in terms of just at least how to convey it when you are talking to them. And then again, we could, connect and talk about some of the ways to get in front of them. And I think you guys are going to get into that as well. So I'm trying to, it's a huge question without a lot of time. I don't want to take over the whole conversation.
Right, and we do offer on-the-job training. So
That's awesome.
Okay. Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, and even getting that stuff out, getting it out on your website, really having a page that's dedicated for veterans. There's a lot of things we could talk about. Again, happy to connect and talk through it offline.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you, Emily. Can you all hear me now? I'm sorry, Dave mentioned he can't hear me. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hopefully that's a little better. Thank you. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next slide because we do have some resources we'd like to share with you all. It's a QR code. If you click the QR code, it'll send you out to a Google Doc with a link to a variety of different veteran transitions programs that we've already either mentioned or others that we think would be useful resources for you. If you have any issues accessing the link, certainly let us know, but you should be able to see a list of curated transition programs regionally and statewide that may be helpful.
And if I can add, Larissa, and I said this earlier, but I just want to make sure that they sign in late. If you're from an organization like Emily is, or again, see for me or Heroes Make America, please make sure you put your contact information in the chat. And if you're a manufacturer, these organizations you need to be reaching out to. These are the organizations that are going to connect you to veterans. And some of these organizations have very specific programs to help veterans transition into manufacturing jobs. So whether it's at Fort Bragg or Camp Lejeune, there's a significant training programs that are going on to help active duty folks before they transition into retirement or separating from the service that are interested in manufacturing jobs. So please reach out to these individuals. And if you want to reach out to me or Larissa, we're more than glad to help and facilitate these introductions and conversations as well. So we want to keep these young men and women in North Carolina and not let them run off somewhere else. Okay. And the other thing I want to say is I think Pam has dropped some links into the chat. If you're a company, and going back to Kimberly's question, if you're not involved with DoD Skill Bridge as a company, it's one of the ways that you can get your company into the system, and essentially soldiers, Marines, sailors, et cetera, can go online and if they have an interest in electronic type positions, and they're interested in staying in North Carolina, for example, they can find your company and potentially do, we'll call it an internship at your company up to 6 months, but typically, it's probably 3 or 4 months. They can work out of your company at no cost to you. They hang up their uniform and they come to your company. That's their new job, and they'll work there until they separate from the service. And then it's between you and that individual whether or not you want to retain them or maybe they want to go do something else. But it's a great program. I know a lot of companies that take advantage of the DoD Skill Bridge program. And again, if you'd like for me to link you up with some companies that are actually participating in the program right now and maybe talk to their CEOs and what their experience is with it, I'll be more than happy to do that as well. So moving along. Okay, MOSs. This is very complicated, so I'm going to try to keep this simple. As we say, there are 10,000 different occupational specialties. I don't think it's really that much. That's really based on all the different rank levels within MOSs, and it gets kind of complicated. Let's just basically say the MOS is the job that a person is doing in the military. So if they're an 11 Bravo, they're an infantryman. If they're a 92 in the Army, if they're a 92 Yankee in the Army, they're a supply specialist. We'll call them. MOSs change frequently. Some of the more popular ones, like 11 Bravo, don't seem to change, but a lot of other ones do for some reason. So I think you need to become familiar with them, and just based on time constraints, I'm going to wait till the next slide to pull a site up that I think maybe Kimberly also would be interested in. But there are databases out there that can help you better understand what these MOSs are, what they do, what the training is they receive. But most importantly, and what you're probably looking for, is how does that link up with that skill set of that, let's say 92 Yankee supply specialist, with the procurement person you're looking for. And that's kind of the match you want to make. So let me go on to the next slide here. And I'm going to click the bottom one. This is from the Department of Labor. This is Career One Stop, and I need to make sure that you're seeing this. Is my screen changing to the career one stop?
No, it didn't
Or
change.
yes?
No,
No? All right,
No.
let me stop sharing for a moment, please. And then try that again. All right.
while Michael's working on that, I think it's really significant to note that the MOS is really like our college courses or curriculums in terms of thinking about how they translate.
Hmm.
And so this website really does a great job at helping to understand what that transition looks like from a military role to a civilian role. And so he's going to actually put in a code so that we can walk through this and see in real time what that looks like.
So is the career one stop up now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, this is, this site, and there's several other sites that are similar to this. And so you can look around, but let's say, for example, again, we'll stay with the 92 Yankee, the supply specialist, and look at the Army and his search. This is primarily for service members, but I think it's also a great tool for companies to also get familiar with. So these are other civilian occupational, their jobs in the civilian sector that you would say are similar to a supply specialist in the Army. But what I also like about this is it provides the pay grade. These are lower enlisted, E3, E4, and E5. Then you go up to more senior. And then you have typical wages, typical education requirement. And then it even gives the outlook of the jobs. So if you're a soldier, that's something that's pretty important to take a look at. But this is where, going back to Kimberly, let's take the order clerks, for example, see jobs. Okay. And we'll just put 27606 in there, for lack of a better one. So we're in the Raleigh area. Okay. Kimberly's company needs to be in here for electronic jobs. So this is where veterans are going in and looking at your jobs that are available, Kimberly, and then the company, location, because they want to stay in North Carolina, and then the date that was posted. So this is just one example, and there are others where you can go through this. And again, these other organizations that are here with us today, that like Emily represents, and the NC for Me, and some other folks that are here. I can't see all of them. That it would be important you reach out to them because they're also connected into all of these databases that can help your company effectively recruit and bring these individuals to your company. So this is just one example. Let me go back. We'll take another one. I don't think all the MOSs that. And then it's the same with the officers. If you're looking for more, more management, more senior individuals, maybe just let's just go with 92, because that would be, I assume, it's still a logistician in the Army. And there you go. You can see the difference in the civilian occupations and the difference in the salaries. And also, again, logisticians, see jobs. So you're looking for a logistician down there in Charlotte for your company. Well, you need to be on here. And so that these more senior NCOs and officers can see the position that's available, and maybe they want to retire in the Charlotte area, and that would be very attractive to them. But if you're not here, and like I tell companies all the time that I work with, they're not going to show up at your doorstep. You've got to make an effort. You've got to be in these databases. You've got to go to career fairs down at Camp Lejeune, Fort Bragg. You've got to reach out to these organizations that are with us today, these veteran transition groups. They exist to help you. They exist to help the veterans, but also the companies that are seeking to make that connection to veterans and hopefully hire them. And I don't want to stop at just saying hire. I'm gonna stop sharing this for a moment, and then I'm going to go back to the actual slides. But we talk a lot about hiring veterans, but I think very, very importantly, you need to keep in mind is the retaining the veterans. And you got to understand, a lot of these individuals, especially the younger ones, when they come out of the military, they may never have had a civilian occupation in their life. Okay, and that is true possibly for even senior NCOs and officers. You went to college for 4 years in ROTC, spent 20 years in the Army, you're retiring as lieutenant colonel, you've never had a resume in your life, you've never had a civilian occupation in your life. This is challenging for them, and that's why a lot of these veteran organizations that are here today are so helpful in helping these individuals, kind of navigate those deep waters that they're not familiar with. So, and one of the challenges is not just recruiting them, but making sure you have a culture, a climate in your company that they want to stick around. because if not, there's a good chance that they may decide that they need to go somewhere else. So they're looking for people who are very mission focused. I tell you, some manufacturers that I found that really connect with veterans, and the NASCAR manufacturers out in the Charlotte area. You may know companies like Roush Yates and MSI Defense Solutions. These are culture is very similar to the military, and they're just outstanding companies, and outstanding pay, outstanding benefits, and they love recruiting veterans because they're kind of the similar culture. But there are other companies like that. That just jumps out to my mind because I've been out to many of those companies in the Charlotte region. All right, I think we've.
Michael, I want
Go ahead,
to,
please.
before we transition to this
Sure.
discussion, I just wanted to highlight Emily's comment on using Chat GPT to help with understanding more about MOS. That's a really great point, Emily, in terms of how you can engage with Chat GPT to help you further understand kind of how the skill sets transition. So that was great. I don't know if you wanted to come off mute and say anything else about that. And maybe not, but that is in the chat, and I think that's a great idea. Also, with the website that you just shared, looking at those job descriptions and understanding how those are spelled out to make sure that they also resonate with a veteran in terms of what they're looking at, so they can understand that their skills translate as well, I think is something that's important as well. And so I'm sure some of the specialists on the call, and even myself, we can help you with that as well. So I just wanted to add those 2 points around that, and
Yeah,
I'll
that's
pass it back
thanks
to you.
for adding that, Larissa, because I wanted to mention earlier, and thank you for making me think of this, is that a lot of time, one of the things that companies are not going to think about. And again, after I retired from the military, I was in industry for about 12 or 13 years. And one of the things that I did when I was looking for individuals that had relevant MOSs in the military that we thought would be fungible and connect to what we're looking for, is we would put MOSs in the job recs. So on our website, now we're to General Dynamics, and we would put military MOSs for the civilian jobs we're looking for. And I think what that does, especially for the military or veteran, is you're communicating to them that you understand the MOSs, and then you took enough time and paid enough attention to put those MOSs in your job rec. I think that really kind of distinguishes you from the competition a bit. And I think there's a comfort factor when that veteran or active duty person is looking at your job rec, that you're looking for that 92 Yankee, or maybe maybe 4, 5, 6 other particular MOSs that may be relevant to the jobs that you've posted. Something you may want to consider doing. I did it on pretty much most of the positions that I was seeking individuals for, and I thought it worked very effectively. So just something to consider. So yeah, well, we are let's stop right there. Larissa, go ahead.
Yeah, so when you think about Kimberly and others, when you think about veteran skills transfer, how do you feel like veterans can contribute to your organization more broadly? Or what are some skills gaps that you've found if you've hired veterans, or that maybe you're making some assumptions about veterans that maybe, they may not be able to fit the culture, or, you may have some concerns about. So if you have any thoughts on that, certainly put that in the chat. Kimberly, I see that you're saying you have 3 open positions right now that you're currently looking to fill. When you think about some of those skill sets, from what we've shared, do you feel like the veterans would be capable and eligible and ready to do that for you? Not to put you on the spot, so you can certainly chime in the chat, or if you have anything that you want to add, just thinking about those 3 positions more broadly. How can we help you think about those skill sets and how veterans may be able to meet those? Looks like lots of electronic background. So Michael, what does that translate to in the military? What types of roles or MOSs will that translate to?
No, you mean electronics?
Yes.
I don't know what the particular MO. I mean, the numbers off the top of my head based on my career experience, but you could go into that website that I just showed you, for example, and there's probably, what I really thought was a great recommendation, and I didn't think about it, was what Emily had just mentioned about using Chat GPT.
Yes.
If you're not on to Chat GPT or Gemini or one of these AI platforms, I'm telling you, I'm addicted to them, and it saves an enormous amount of work and time and really does all the research for you. So you could literally go into Chat GPT and ask for every military MOS that is related to electronics, and it's going to tell you every single one: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, etc. So then you have that information. And then you can also, again, go online and find out more about what those MOSs actually do, how much training. Some of these individuals that work in especially highly technical areas in the military, their advanced training after they leave basic training may last up to a year. I mean, it's, their marketability is incredible, and they're working for pretty high salary positions for a lot of major corporations when they leave the military. But remember, you get, a lot of individuals, because we have so many of these military personnel in North Carolina. North Carolina is a wonderful place. It's the greatest state, in my opinion. So they don't want to leave North Carolina. So give them a reason to stay in North Carolina. And if you engage with them and really, welcome them out to your company. If you were in here earlier, you heard me say something about visiting Honda Jet. Reach out to Heroes Make America down at Fort Bragg, or get your Chamber of Commerce to maybe sponsor getting a busload of active duty veteran folks from Fort Bragg to come out and visit 3 or 4 year companies in the area that have positions open that would be interested in hiring veterans. Like I said, there's got to be some action on your end. They're not going to show up at your doorstep saying, "Hey, I want to work for you." So there has to be an effort put forth. I'd be really interested with hearing from any manufacturers that we have on the call today about their experience, whether it be successful or the challenges that they've had. What's worked for you? Because I think if anybody's got real credibility to the manufacturers, are the other manufacturers that are in the room and sharing what your experience has been, and being able to successfully, or maybe don't do it this way. You learn some lessons. So if there's any manufacturers with us right now that could share some insights from their experience and trying to hire or successfully hiring veterans, it'd be really great if you could share that with the group.
Yeah, while we're waiting on that, Michael, we did have some comments in the chat that I just want to bring up. Dave has said that in the U.S. Army, 25 series in communications may fit well with what Kimberly is looking for. So thank you for sharing that, Dave. We definitely think going back to that site and putting in that 25 series to see, also comparing how your job descriptions look compared to maybe how they might look on this site that we shared, could give you an opportunity to really think through how you might want to change some of how your job description is written, or really just give you some examples of how to track veterans through that change. And again, Chat GPT can help with that as well, but also seeing what's out there and understanding what are others doing in terms of how they're recruiting through these online platforms as well. Also, Kimberly mentioned basic electronic knowledge, punctuality, dependability, and soldering are some different skill sets that are needed. And so I think, you may be able to also put in skill sets that are needed as well into some of these platforms to find out which groups and occupations that you can connect with as well. So that's a great opportunity. Thank you for sharing, Kimberly. And again, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but we appreciate you sharing some of your challenges, because we really want this to be a space where we can try to resolve some of those, or at least give you the tools and strategies to do that in real time. So we hope that we're being successful in that way. So, okay. So Michael, you've got that
Yeah,
pulled up.
I put in the 25. This is officer, but it's still in community. You see the types of civilian occupations that are in that career field, and these are just the officers. But again, this is the kind of information that can be provided for whether you're an IT company or electronics, whatever it may be. And again, I think
Can you click on one of the jobs just
Sure.
so we can see how they're
computer, the actual occupation. Yeah, there you go.
okay? So it just gives you an overview of the occupation in general, but no specific job descriptions. Okay. Okay, but it does provide some of the experience, background, and skill sets. Okay, for those jobs that may align. Okay.
This is very
Thank you.
detailed.
Yes. Very detailed. And thank you, Pam. Pam put another resource in the chat, the resource directory of other options. Thank you for sharing that, Pam. Okay, and then Emily is sharing an example of, I think, using Chat GPT. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So I think now we really just want to open it up to maybe just have a Q&A. You know, we have about 15 minutes or so. Is there anything that you all would like to talk about that maybe we haven't shared, or if you want to add further comments around what we've shared today, additional questions, comments, resources, you know, we're here for you all. We know your time is valuable, and so we just want to make this meaningful for you all. So just let us know how we can help.
Do we have any other veteran transition groups other than with Emily? Is NC for Me or HMA or Veterans Bridge Home or any folks like that in the room? If you are, I'd love for you to take this opportunity to tell you know, the attendees about your organization and how you can potentially help these manufacturers.
And just a reminder, folks, if you would like to ask your question live or comment, just raise your hand and I will unmute you so you can do that. Okay, Emily looks like she has some. Okay, Emily, you should be unmuted.
Hey, just real quick overview of what we're doing with Transition Overwatch. We run a veteran retention program. So we have different specific career paths that we can support. Quite a few of those are in the skilled trades or manufacturing, and we can help attract veterans to the job and give you tools to help attract them to your roles, and then also help retain them typically for 1 to 2 years. Most of our skilled or more technician roles, the programs are 2 years, and we see extremely high retention while folks are in our program. So would love to talk to any employers or even other organizations that are trying to find job opportunities for veterans. We're connected to a lot of employers nationwide, and obviously happy to build those relationships to try to help keep folks in North Carolina or even bring folks from outside North Carolina back to the state. But yeah, really happy to connect or collaborate with anyone who wants to see more veteran retention in those skilled roles.
Thanks, Emily. Appreciate that.
Michael, there is, and Larissa, there is a question in the Q&A. When I post on NC Works, does it carry into the military job post sites?
I do not know. That's a good question, but I will certainly find out.
I was going to say the same. I'm not sure, but I think somehow the One Career Stop is tied in.
Yeah.
But we can confirm that for you
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Just if you want us to reach back out to you, please leave your an email or something. I'll make sure to follow up with you on that. And that made me think, you know, Pam earlier had put the link into we've developed the North Carolina Defense Contractor Resource Directory several years ago, and we update it regularly. I think it's time to be updated again. And one of the things we want to update it with, and this is me putting a plug in now, is that we're also getting very active in the maritime industrial base. The Navy is having significant challenges in building and in doing maintenance on ships and on submarines. And North Carolina is going to become more aggressively engaged in addressing some of the workforce challenges for companies that are in that supply chain here in North Carolina. Also advanced manufacturing, and then also just supply chain challenges that many of these companies face. So we're going to be very focused on a lot of these particular types of MOSs: welding, additive manufacturing, non-destructive testing, and there's a few others that I just not coming to mind at the moment. But yeah, anybody else like that? I'd love to hear from any manufacturers that we have because you're the people, you're the organizations we're trying to respond to the needs that you have. So if you could share any insight, I'd love to hear from you. Come off mute. The other thing we need to do, and because I see a person that's in the chat or in the room that I was talking with the other day, is North Carolina, we have to do a better job of providing corporations, businesses, the means to connect with veterans because these companies that come to North Carolina or potentially want to come to North Carolina are very interested in the fact that we have such a large presence of military and a large number of veterans that are transitioning out of active duty in the state. And one of the key on their decision matrix, one of the key elements of whether they want to come to North Carolina may be how well is the system support their company and other manufacturers have been able to identify and recruit veterans to them. Because again, they know these skill sets, they've been trained, they know the soft skills, and they're wanting to. And we all, I think, need to do a better job. And that's something that I think at IAS we need to also address with other government agencies is maybe even kind of a one-stop shop for all these organizations to be at, so that companies can find all of you in one place, and so the veterans can go there, the companies can go there, and just one place to be able to connect and hopefully successfully hire and these veterans get jobs and stay in North Carolina. So, any other thoughts, comments? We still got about 10 minutes left. Love to hear any thoughts that you may have. Any comments, please?
Michael, there is a Q&A. Is there a specific site I can go and post my job openings? Is it the Career One Stop?
Wow, that's a yeah. That just goes to, I think, the point that I was just making is that I'm not aware of one, maybe at a national level, but the Career One Stop is. But I would strongly encourage you, especially if you're looking for veterans, is go to DoD Skill Bridge. And Pam, I don't know if you've put the link into Skill Bridge. I think you have. Every manufacturer in here needs to go to DoD Skill Bridge. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, there are a number of companies in North Carolina that, for example, I'll just mention one. He wouldn't mind it if I mentioned him, I'm sure. James Freeman, who is the CEO of Emerging Technology Institute down in Red Springs. He does a lot of STEM type related work, a lot of drone work. He hires a lot of veterans. He also works for a lot of Army special operations type units. And he uses a skill bridge. He takes advantage of that program, and he brings individuals that are on active duty to work for him. And that's what they do for 3 or 4 months. And then he'll hire them at the end, or maybe they'll decide that that's not a good fit, whatever the case may be. But that's how you can really connect through the Skill Bridge program. The other thing is, and I really wish we had somebody from the Transition Assistance Program here from Fort Bragg or Camp Lejeune, is that, go to these career fairs, go sign up for these announcements, check the transition assistance programs that are at Fort Bragg and Camp Lejeune, and you're going to need to take the time and go down to Fort Bragg and meet veterans. And the companies that do that are going to have the edge because these soldiers are going to show up with resumes in hand, and they know they're going to be getting out of the military in the next month or 2 or 3, and they're doing their part. So if you're serious about wanting to hire veterans, then your part is, as a manufacturer, is making that drive down to Fort Bragg and attending that job fair, or at Camp Lejeune or Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, or even up in Elizabeth City with the Coast Guard. So we have such a large presence of these individuals, service members. Please make the effort to attend. But Skill Bridge is a fantastic program. It's really the main program that the Department of Defense uses to help transitioning veterans and retirees into civilian occupations. And all of these organizations that are here today are likely part of the DoD Skill Bridge program. Any comments about that, or anybody want to add to Skill Bridge, or have used it that would like to share any of their experiences?
Michael, Wendy Packard had raised her hand. Wendy, you should be off of mute if you'd like to comment or ask a question.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, Michael, this is great because I'm a navigator, which is my job. We feel the same way those manufacturers are. How do we get to find each other? How do we get that connection? So the nonprofit I work for is Veterans Bridge Home. We are in about 50 different counties in North Carolina. We have the Metrolina area, Triad, Midlands, Sandhill, and Triangle. And each one of those sections has an employment navigator or an employment VP. So Veterans Bridge Home is a holistic package to help service members, family members, and veterans integrate back into their community. So we want them to stay here in North Carolina, and we try to provide any services that are going to help them do that. So one of the major one is housing, and then the secondary is employment. So that's what we do. We try and connect these great service members out into the community. So anyone out here who maybe is looking to connect for a different way, thank you so much, a different way to get in touch with employers. It doesn't mean, I think a a misconception is that I have a book of 20 veterans and I can just plug one into your position. Doesn't always work that way, but building the relationship when you do have something open, if we can reach out and go, well, I might have a veteran, and if not, one of my coworkers in another county may have a veteran, that's really a great way to build that if we can have that line of communication to each other directly. So if anyone is interested, I'd be happy to connect you to the employment navigators in your area, in your county. It's always helpful. My counties are the Sand Hills, Fayetteville area, but I have veterans all the time who are moving into other areas, especially up into Raleigh or into those for those large manufacturing positions. So thank you again. This has been a wonderful forum. And if anyone would like the information for their employment navigator from Veterans Bridge Home, I'd be happy to provide that for them. They can reach out to them directly.
Yeah, thank you so much, Wendy, and for everyone. We've engaged with Veterans Bridge Home several times. We've done some events together, and I know Aaron and Jackie, and also we have Patrick down there now, and just absolutely tremendous organization. It's headquartered in Charlotte, and as Wendy said, they're all around the state, helping veterans with employment and linking them up with companies in North Carolina. So please reach out to Emily and Wendy and let them assist your company. And what else? Anybody else have any comments or anything they would like to add? We have a few minutes left. Love to hear from someone else. Come on, don't be shy.
Hey, it looks like Lynn Kenny has raised her hand. Lynn, bear with me
Awesome.
just a moment. Okay, you should be able to come off your mute now.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is Monique Nesseltree. I'm actually just had to come in for Lynn Kinney. She had to jump on another meeting real quick, but I can explain a little bit. So we're NC for Me, North Carolina for Military Employment. And what we do is we help transition and we help for veterans, military spouses. We just have a new program called Opline. I don't know if anyone has heard it, but what you could do is register through Opline. Any positions that you have opened or that internships, anything. And what we do is a candidate can register through NC for Me, our website, and it can match the candidate with its skills. Thank you for putting that up. Yes. If you go to join right there, and then it's veteran, veterans student. Yeah, from there, they can put all their different skills they have, and it will direct them to you. So whatever matches will go to you. They can see from your website of what jobs are hiring, and they can just go, and it's just like a kind of like a one-stop shop for them because they can see, oh, okay, my skills match with being aviation. Okay, oh, I also matches with marketing, and they can look at different employers from our website and apply right straight from our website right there. So just wanted to give that background. And if you're interested, my name is Monique Nesseltree. You can reach out to me or Lynn Kinney, and we can direct you to Dave. He's the one who helps a lot with our employers. So he can help get you registered in, or I can myself. Any of us can, but Dave is the one that actually reaches out and helps with employers, connecting them, putting them on our database. And Offline is just a great resource we have used recently. A lot of the candidates love it. They love that they could just put their information in, put their resume in, and it will direct them to employers. So they don't have to be looking all over the website, trying to find you, trying to find different employers. It will connect you to all the employers that we're connected to.
Thank you so much. That is wonderful. Absolutely. Okay. Well, if you're a manufacturer, you certainly got a lot more information today than you probably did than an hour ago. And so if you're trying to hire veterans and keep them here in your company in North Carolina, and there's several people, and you have the contact information, and I can't encourage you more to reach out to each of these individuals and their organizations to help fill the vacancies and maybe the high demand vacancies that you have in your company. So Larissa, anything before we wrap things up?
No, nothing else. Just want to remind you of that Google Doc that's there. And so, we'll update that list with all the businesses that are here that may not have been on the list. So we'll have an updated link. So that'll update in real time. So if you want to click that QR code from earlier, you'll have access to that link as well.
Okay. And on the last slide, and you're going to get all these slides, of course. Pardon me. My email's on there. Larissa's contact information's on there. And I'm not just saying this. We do this all the time. This is certainly what I do. All I do every day is work to to better support small to medium defense companies in the state of North Carolina and to strengthen our defense industrial base in the state. So if you have some questions about the workforce, if you want to talk about your company and learn more about Industry Expansion Solutions, if you're a manufacturer and you're not aware of who Industry Expansion Solutions is, and that we're the Manufacturing Extension Partnership for North Carolina, we have a tremendous amount of resources that can help you, and also a lot of partnerships with other organizations within our ecosystem that could be a benefit to your company. So please reach out. And then, like I said, reach out to Larissa on the workforce matters, and I'm sure she'll be more than happy to help you out. But that's what we're here for. So anything else before we wrap it up?
Just wanna
Thank
say
you to
thank you
everyone
all.
who attended today. Thanks especially to all the veteran transition groups that took the time to join us today and share your knowledge and expertise for the benefit of not just the veterans, but for the companies in North Carolina. It's been pointed out several times, the challenge is connecting these two. Getting veterans to the manufacturers just seems to be a bit harder than it should be. And there's got to be a better way to do it. And that's something that we all need to work together towards to keep these highly trained and talented veterans in North Carolina rather than going somewhere else. So thank you for joining us today. Greatly appreciate it. And you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Michael and Larissa, for your presentation today, and thank you all for attending. Again, we will receive the webinar recording and the PowerPoint presentation in the next day or two. Again, that will come from the IES Zoom user. Again, thank you for attending. We hope to see you at a future webinar. Hope you all have a great day. Thank you.